The daughter of former Vice President Walter Mondale lost her battle with brain cancer at the age of 51. Fox 9's Trish Van Pilsum and photojournalist Brad Swagger have got to look back now at the woman many are remembering as a true shining star.
Her life, like her smile, was irresistible.
She was just special.
Irrepressible. She could not, would not be kept down.
It's just such a pleasure to find somebody who, gets up in the morning singing.
No matter what life threw at her.
I knew she was a good fighter.
No matter what she seemed to bring on herself.
She came from a sort of privilege, and she had, the way she was accepted. So I'm sure probably, I'm just being Eleanor is what she was thinking.
And we could not stop watching.
What made Eleanor so fascinating to people then, do you think?
I think she's very attractive. She stood out anytime she walked into a room.
Those dramatic entrances began on her father's arm. She was only a teenager, but a Life magazine photographer spotted the magic and captured the moment a Midwestern girl became daughter of a vice president. She turned 17 on the night before the Carter-Mondale presidential inauguration. She grew up, it seemed, overnight and moved into a Washington, D.C. mansion the very next morning.
We had a staff of servants, and there was a little clipboard you could fill out what you wanted for breakfast and lunch. Wow. So I gained a lot of weight. So everything I wanted, waffles and then cream cheese and avocado sandwiches and,
Was it kind of overwhelming?
I liked it.
Okay.
My dad says that I adapt well to opulence.
She worked on her dad's unsuccessful presidential campaign, but had no interest in politics herself.
I like to keep my political thoughts to myself.
Hollywood was where she saw herself, and she had some moments there, small parts mostly. In 1988, she married Keith Van Horn of the Chicago Bears. The next year, she landed back in Minnesota as an entertainment reporter for WCCO-TV.
There was an obvious push to attract young people.
And people watched Eleanor, although not always on the news.
All I know is that people were flooding me with tips about Eleanor every place she went.
And everything she did, and every little thing that she wore.
Eleanor was very comfortable with her body.
Who wouldn't be if they looked like this? Over time, though, the constant attention on her personal life, including her failing marriage,
I thought she felt bad about that.
Wore on her and on WCCO, and it began to overshadow her work. And that was too bad, because there were some really good stories about that, too. Like at the time,
the pressure was kind of on to deliver that night. It's a quick turnaround piece.
She covered a Rolling Stones concert.
And she said, well, let's just go backstage or the loading dock is where the cars come in. And all of a sudden, the door comes up, garage door, here comes a white stretch limousine. And Eleanor gets up, walks right past the security guard. Limo stops, door opens, she gets in! And to this day, I don't know, I don't quite know how she knew them, or how they knew her, or where they met in the past, but
you got your story.
We got our story.
She left WCCO-TV, worked a short time in radio here, met and married DJ Greg Thunder, and moved to Chicago with him. Eleanor and Greg divorced within a year. Within a couple of years, she was in L.A., had jobs with E! Entertainment, Today Show Weekend, Lifetime. Then it was on to New York, another tricky relationship. Then, finally, in 2002, back to Minnesota for good.
I parents are getting older, and my grandmother, who is now passed, was getting older, and I just thought, I don't want to get that call that they're dead. You know, I want to come home. I want to be with my family. So
Home, finally.
You know, I got my horses here, got cats, and my dogs, and my bird, and it's peaceful and it's private.
Love, finally. Marrying musician Chan Poling.
I love her because she loves life.
Balance, finally.
I think she found a peace, I think, and working at the radio station during the middays. I think that was the limelight that she needed. That was just enough to kind of keep her out there. But she was more than happy to be done at noon and go back to the farm.
Where we got to know another side of her.
She was clearly a very loving person because she loved animals.
You might say we witnessed Eleanor's entire life cycle. The growing up, the mistakes.
Her air about her wasn't arrogant, it was confident, and it was playful. And this is who I am, so there you have it.
The maturation.
I just think she just naturally matured. But she had a good time when she was young.
And all of it accelerated.
Maybe she was ahead of her time for our market, for our station.
She certainly left too soon. Left ahead of her time. I'm Trish Van Pilsum.